Tomorrow morning, an alarm will go off and you will begin the work of filling a day. 8 hours of it, maybe 9. A commute on either end, errands wedged into the gaps, a screen in your hand for whatever is left. And underneath all of it sits an assumption you have probably never examined, that this is simply the price of comfort. That before wages in cities and agriculture, life was a grim scramble from sunrise to collapse, and that everything you do now, you do because the alternative was worse. But the real answer is far stranger. For most of the time human beings have existed, your ancestors had more free time than you do. Not slightly more. Hours more. Every single day. And what they did with those hours is the part almost nobody talks about. Start with the number that broke the assumption. In 1963, a young anthropologist named Richard Lee moved into the Doab region of the Kalahari and lived among the Juhuansi, a people who fed themselves entirely by hunting and gathering. He did not just observe. He weighed food. He followed people into the bush and timed them. He kept a running record of who worked and who did not, day by day, for weeks on end. The result was not what anyone expected. Adults spent roughly 2.5 hours a day acquiring food, somewhere between 12 and 20 hours in a week. On any given day, a large share of the camp did no subsistence work at all. Children were not expected to contribute, often until their late teens. The elderly were not expected to contribute either, and nobody resented them for it. This was not a society clinging to the edge of starvation. It was a society with a considerable amount of nothing to do. How is that possible? In 1966, Lee carried those numbers to a conference in Chicago called Man the Hunter, and an anthropologist named Marshall Sahlins turned them into an idea that has never quite stopped being argued about. He called hunter-gatherers the original affluent society. His point was not that they were rich. It was that affluence has two possible routes. You can produce a great deal, or you can want very little. Your ancestors took the second road, and by that measure, they arrived. So picture the day itself. There is no alarm, because there is no clock, because there is no unit of time smaller than the position of the sun. You wake in stages, along with everyone around you, in a camp of maybe 20 or 30 people, most of whom you are related to. Last night's fire is still smoking. There is no breakfast, at least not as an event. You eat whatever is left from yesterday, standing up, or you eat nothing, and you go. Frank Marlowe spent decades with the hadza of northern Tanzania, one of the last populations on Earth still living substantially by foraging, and his description of their working day is remarkably consistent. 4 to 6 hours. Sometimes less. Men leave alone or in pairs with a bow, sometimes gone all day, often returning with nothing at all. Women leave in groups, with digging sticks, with babies on their hips, and toddlers walking beside them, heading for a patch of tubers a few kilometers off. They talk the whole way. They dig. They eat some of it on the spot. They carry the rest back. Children too old to be carried and too young to be useful stay near camp and forage for themselves, and they are surprisingly good at it. Some days the whole plan is honey. Brian Wood has documented how the hadza get it, and the method is older than almost anything else you could call technology. There is a bird in that landscape, the greater honeyguide, that eats beeswax but cannot open a hive. A man whistles a specific note into the trees. The bird answers, flies a short distance, waits, calls again, and leads him, tree by tree, sometimes for a kilometer or more, to a nest buried in a trunk 15 meters up. He climbs, smokes the bees out, takes the honey, and leaves wax behind. Neither species was trained. Neither was bred for this. Two wild animals worked out a deal at some point in the deep past and have been honoring it ever since. And part of your ancestors' working day was simply showing up to hold their end of it. And then, by early afternoon, it is over. What happens next is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. They sit in the shade. For hours. Arrows get repaired. Beads get strung. Hair gets braided and picked through. Somebody starts an argument about a debt from 3 months ago, and 8 people join in. Somebody sleeps. Somebody imitates a person who is not present, badly, and everyone laughs. This is not a break from the day. This is most of the day. Now, The honest complication. Lee's numbers have been challenged for half a century, and they should be. Kim Hill and Ana Magdalena Hurtado worked with the ache of eastern Paraguay and found men foraging something closer to 7 hours a day, walking miles through dense forest in pursuit of animals that mostly got away. Food processing is heavy, invisible,